This conference will now be recorded.
So now, so firstly, so why do we need a scripting part? Okay, so do I really need scripting? Okay, yes, we need scripting, but in some cases, not all the cases, in some of the cases. So, for example, let's say, okay, and especially shell scripting, I'm talking about anyway. Okay, so scripting is required. So if you want to make some things automated, okay. Now the question is, so we can make these things automated. We have different tools for that purpose, right? We have Ansible tool, we have Jenkins tool. So what are the tools we have gone through? So these tools can make the things automated. Then why scripting is still required? Right? I mean, especially shell scripting. Right? So shell scripting, it's not possible to manage everything automated through Jenkins or Ansible, whatever the tools they are. It's not possible to manage everything automated. But say after Jenkins or Ansible were introduced into the market, so the scripting part, especially shell scripting part, importance has been reduced. So we don't need too much. We don't give too much importance for this shell scripting, okay? Because in Ansible we use YAML scripts, right? In Docker we use some also kind of a write some Docker files kind of a scripting, and whereas in Kubernetes also we use YAML script. And in Jenkins, we use a kind of Groovy scripts. So we have different types of scripts we have in different tools. So once DevOps has come into the picture, the importance of shell script has been like it's been getting vanished. It's not so important. But so let's look into this script, how the scripts works, and that is kind of an advantage also in interviews. So in interviews, your question might be asked: do you have any knowledge in any scripting part? Yes. Okay. So, and for example, let's say, take an example. So this might be best example, let's say. Okay. Now, so let's say I'm a DevOps engineer, and what I have done, I just have prepared a Docker image. I've created Docker image. Once the Docker image is created, I have pushed onto Docker registry. Now, it's available on Docker registry. That means Docker Hub. Okay. Now, so and there comes, for example, I have a testing team. Right? So that image is prepared for my testing team. Okay. Now they want to pull that image, right? They want to pull that image. Okay. So pull that image and then they run that image. Okay. But usually, how do you pull an image, run an image? We have some Docker commands, right? So we have Docker commands. So these Docker commands, so will help us to pull and then run images. But so he's a tester and he has no knowledge regarding this Docker commands. Then how is going to run these images? How is going to pull the images? Right? And moreover, whenever you run it and you want to run them on some port numbers, you have to run them on some port numbers. Yeah. So what are those port numbers? But so as a non-DevOps user, non-Docker user, I don't know, I don't have any kind of knowledge on this. Okay, so how do you run them? How do you pull them and also run them or assign them to some port numbers? I don't have knowledge on this. Okay, then how are you going to manage it? No. So now here comes a script. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write. So let's say I'm going to prepare a shell script. I'm going to prepare a shell script. So in that script, I'm going to define all the steps. Whatever steps are required, I'm going to define all the steps in that shell script. Right? So let's say my script name is something like, so Docker script, sorry, Docker script dot sh. That's my script name. This is how you give it some script name, shell script. Okay. So dot sh ending with dot sh means it is a shell script. Now I have the script ready. Okay. So in that script, I have given all the steps. I have mentioned all the steps. Okay. So what are the steps? So what are the steps are required to pull an image, to run an image, and then also map the port numbers, and also you map the home directories. I have defined all the steps. Now, so you are a tester. Then now I'm going to provide you this script, and then what are you going to do? So you simply you run that script. So how to run that script is sh and then your script name. Now you're running that script. When you run this script, there you have your image will be pulled and then image done on port number. Okay, and then home directory mapping, image name. Okay, so what are the steps are required? So all the steps I have given them in this Docker script, in the shell script. So, and as a tester, what you need to do is you need to just run this command. Okay, when you run that command, you have your all images pull and then run. So now this is one of the examples where scripting comes into the picture. Okay, or else that is one example. Now I can give these kind of examples even in real time and in interviews. Okay, and that's one example. See, now definitely there will be questions. So you have been involved in writing these shell scripts. Okay, fine. Can you explain a couple of scenarios where you have used this shell script? Okay. Also, we can use it for deployment purpose. So for deployment purpose. Right. Now I have a sample var file. I have a sample var file. Okay. Now, so this sample var file I'm going to deploy. So we know that we can do deploy through Jenkins. Okay, fine. But I want to deploy that. So through shell scripts, is it possible? Yes, that is also possible. Okay, so that's also possible. But we write some lines of code for that, lines of script, I mean. So that is one of the other examples. Okay. But see, this is what I was saying. Once Jenkins has come into the picture, so you don't need this kind of shell scripting, but still you can give these examples. But even so this one, I can make it automatic through Jenkins. Yes, I can do it. Okay, but so yeah, but these are some of the examples you can mention in your. So, but what is a script? How to write a script for this? We'll just talk about that later. Probably in our last session of shell script, I'll explain that. But remember this couple of examples as a DevOps engineer and where you have been writing these scripts and what are the examples? Can you give a couple of examples why you have been writing them? Right. Yes. So, but personally, I say it happens in some interviews. Okay. So they ask questions. So have you been into scripting? Yes, I've been into scripting. So what kind of scripting you have been into? I've been into YAML script. I'm into like so writing some Groovy scripts in Jenkins and writing some okay. I just said these two scripts, but they ask you, are you not into like kind of other type of scripting, shell script or Python script? So I would say, I have some knowledge on shell scripting. I can yes, I do have some knowledge, but I have good knowledge with YAML. Even YAML is also scripting. So I've been writing some scripts using YAML for Ansible and Docker and Kubernetes. Yes. Okay. YAML is also kind of scripting. Right. Yes. Shell scripting, yes, I do have some knowledge. I do have knowledge. And so this is the purposes. These are a couple of examples where I do so use shell scripts also. Okay. And that is how it works. Anyway, now. So now we're going to start with shell script. Now we understand the purpose, basically where the shell script comes into picture. Now let's move on to now. Okay. So let's start with now. So scripting part, shell scripting. Okay. So basically, what is a script is? Okay. A script is nothing but it's kind of a interface between user and then kernel. Let me show you that picture. So, and there you can see. Okay. So this is your Linux architecture anyway. You don't need to worry about the entire architecture. So look at here. Let's say we are users, we are end users. Okay. Now what do? We run some commands. We run different types of commands. Yes. Okay. Now we run the applications as well. Okay. And then, so whenever we run the commands, but these commands are user understandable commands, right? Now how system understand these commands? So that means how your kernel understands your commands. Okay, kernel understand the commands. So in between there is kind of interpreter, you can say. What is the interpreter is? Shell is an interpreter. What this interpreter does, whatever the commands you run, those commands will be interpreted as a system understandable language like zeros and ones, and then so it will be sending that request to the kernel, and kernel understand that language, zero binary language. Okay, so that is what is shell does. Okay, shell is an interpreter. Okay, here. So it is an interpreter, works like an interface between user and then kernel. Right now, so now shell is just an interpreter. Okay, but shell is not only the interpreter. So shell is just an interpreter, command interpreter. Okay, fine. And so, but we have different types of shells. Okay, and then we have, let's say, here we have types of kernels, so types of shells. We have bash shell. Okay, that is your bash shell. So this is a bash shell. Mostly we use it. I mean, almost everyone uses bash shell. Why bash shell? So bash shell is used because you don't need to install any kind of separate interfaces or separate tools for this bash shell purpose. Okay, so but whereas other shells, we have C shell and we have K shell. So these type of shells, T shell, we have C shell, K shell, and Z shell. So these shells used for other purposes, like so kind of like program level purposes anyway. But these shells are not available by default. You need to install something else for these purposes. So you can just go through this introduction if you like. So that is not required anyway. It is given some kind of information here. Okay, that's not required anyway. So mostly we just go with and so bash shell. Okay, now so and the question is, so we understand that it's an interpreter, right? It's an interpreter. So what is interpreter is? Bash. So shell is an interpreter. Okay. Now, so we have different types of shells. Like I said, we have bash, and we have K shell, and we have C shell, we have Z shell. So we have different types of shells. Okay. And so bash is the default shell, and which comes with your OS. Bash is a default shell, and then so and so what is scripting? First of all, basically, first we should understand what is scripting. So the difference between scripting versus programming. Okay. Is scripting something like programming? Okay. So not exactly. Scripting is different, and then programming is different. So both are totally different. Okay. So for example, let's say I'm going to write a Java program. Let's say something like, so this is a Java program. Okay, that's is what we call a program. And then so I have something like, let's say hello.sh. sh means it's a shell script. Okay, now this is your shell script. Now the difference between these two, a Java programming, I mean coding versus scripting, programming versus scripting. So now, so see, coding is written in high level, right? Coding is written in high level. So Java, .NET, whatever it is. Since that code is written in high level, the code needs to be first so compiled. Fine, we compile the code. So, but here the scripting is not in high level, that is user understandable level. So you don't need to compile it. You don't need to. It's not required to compile it. You don't need to compile it. So if you don't compile it, what do? You just run the scripts. You don't need to execute it. Whereas compile has to be done for the programming level, high level programmings. But scripting, yes, you don't need to compile it easily. Compilation has to be done for the programming level. Okay. And then, what are the other differences? So other differences are scripting is how you define a script. Basically, script is nothing but what we call some set of commands. What are they? Set of commands. Okay. So what do you mean by set of commands? For example, let's say I want to make a directory. Then, so in my hello.shell, so this is my shell script is, so that is my shell script, hello.shell. Like a text file. You create a text file, there you write your commands. Because this script is nothing but set of commands. Now you define your commands. Right? So whatever the commands you like, just run all these commands. Now, so this is what is your script. So script is nothing but set of commands, or you can say sequence of commands. I want to run this set of commands or in some sequence. Yes, right? You can run them. Okay, so that is the difference between scripting versus programming. Whereas programming is, so you need to define the steps. Define the steps. Okay, so do that first. Do this next, right? And then once if that is correct, and do the next thing. So that has to be done. But whereas here in programming, in scripting, it's all like sequence of commands. That is one difference. So you can look at these differences anywhere. So these are some basic things anyway, right? So so voice script we write it to automate some task, okay? And program is you can do many tasks anyway, right? Now, so does not require any compilation. Scripting does not require compilation. Programming must be compiled, and does not require to customize environment setup. Okay, so that means you don't need any kind of external tools needs to be installed. Okay, your environments needs to be, so you don't need to install any kind of third-party environments. But whereas, so for programming, yes, you need to require some different environments to develop and compile it. For Java, we need JDK environment. .NET, we need a .NET framework. So, but for scripting, you don't need it. Okay, so you don't require customized environments or to set up. It's not required. Okay, fine. Now, so that is basically some of the differences between scripting versus programming. And also, you like to go with the advantage of shell script. Anyway, so to automate frequent tasks. So this is why we write a script, to automate it, to automate some set of the task. Okay, and to run the sequence of commands in a single command. Okay, that means I have this set of commands, right? I want to run them in a single execution. When you run that script, you will be having all these commands executed anyway, and it's easy to use and it's portable. Now this is important. Okay, so portable means it's platform independent. Okay, so this script, so for example, let's say I'm running that on RHEL, right? And then I like to run this on Ubuntu. Yes, you can do it. That's not a problem. I want to run that on, so let's say Fedora. Yes, you can do it. So a script can be run on any platform. So irrespective of what is your OS, you can run that on any platform. Okay. So that is what is its platform independent, right? So that's advantage. Whereas program is not platform independent, right? I have a Java program. Is it platform independent? No, it's not. Okay. You must have that. What has to be installed first? You must have that JDK installed. Otherwise, you cannot run it, right? But so what are platform independent in Java? The compiled versions are platform independent. Okay, that's different. So we're not going in the detail, but understand this part. So it is portable. So portable means it is platform independent. Okay, fine. Now, so these are some of the basics we need to understand. So before we start with that script. Okay, now, so going on to that now. So let's start with writing a simple script. Okay, I'm going to write a simple script now. So you can do it. I'm just doing it on my virtual instance itself. So that is IP address. I just open this instance through putty. So for my convenient purpose, okay, because I go copy paste some of them, right? There's just do it from here. So let's start with writing a simple script. Now, just make sure you write them all of the scripts in one single folder. Don't make it like so. Just make it like organized. If you are unorganized, even in the future, if you want to find the script, it's not possible. So always just make sure you just create them in a so organized folder. So, and in my case, let's say I just go with, let's say, okay, there we're going to create our scripts. Okay, you can make some folders, whatever you like, and create them in one single folder. Have some scripts, but let me remove everything. I just make it clear. So now we're going to write some scripts. Now, how to write a script first? So it is like a normal text file. So use VI editor. So VI, and then let's say something like script1.sh. Let's say. Now, so as I said, so it is used to run some sequence of commands, right? Let's run some sequence of commands. Let's go with, I want to make a directory, some directory 1. I want to make a file, search some file1. Okay, I want to run this command, ps-aef. So this command will display all list of services running on my system. Okay, so, and then also I want to display all my what we call packages I have installed. So how do I do that? I can use it using RPM. I think we remember these commands, I guess, right? RPM -QA, RPM -QA. So we'll give list of all the packages we have installed, and ps-aef. So we'll display all the services and what are the services we have and what are the port numbers. Okay, and RPM means RPM-QA will display all the packages installed. Okay, and then from the list of packages, I want to grab the package called testDPD package. So, okay, now I'm running these 4 commands. Okay, I'm running these 4 commands. Also, you want to run another command called, let's say, something like date command. So what is today's date, whatever it is. I'm running some sequence of commands. Okay, now let's save it. Now, so there is our script. Now, so there are 2 ways you can run your script, using sh and then script name that you can do it, or else you can also go with // and then your script name, script1.sh. Here you can also do this, right? So, but if you want to run a script with this kind of execution // in the script name, now you see that, enter. What is that? Permission denied. So what kind of permission? I think we all know that. So we must have at least execute permission. Are we executing this or not? Yes, we are executing it. If you want to execute it, we must have execute permissions. Now, how to execute it? So first assign that execute permission using chmod. Chmod, okay, +X, yeah, and then what is that file name? That's a file name. I'm assigning execute permission. Yes. Now that is done. Now we can go with your script name. You can go it. Right? So or else you can use that other command sh and then script name. Okay, we'll be doing that also. Now enter. Fine. So it is successfully run. Now, so what was the script regarding? The script regarding. So first, make a directory. Yes. Is the directory created? Yes. Where is the directory created? The directory is created in my working directory. ls. And see the directory created. Directory 1. Also file1 created. File1 created. And then, so did it display the date? Find out. Scroll up. Yes, that's the date. Okay. So it has given its server date. Okay, it has given its server date. Now that is its server date. And then what is the next command? So I have given so ps-aef, right? Nothing but I want to see all the list of services. Okay, now you can see that. So that's user ID and then process ID, which user has started, and that's a process ID. What is the process ID? Start time. Okay, since how long this has been running, right? And then so just scroll down. There we have all the services. So okay, and that is the information. We have some HTTPD services. Okay, you see that some other services we have some different types of services. Okay, you can see them, all the services here. Okay, next. Also, you see this is the latest command we have run, right? You see that also it's the latest command. Yes, you can see that. Okay, that is also kind of a service, right? Any command you run that will be available. And next. Now, what is the last command was? I was trying to grep that, right? I was trying to find that package rpm-qa grep httpd package. Yes, just so written some httpd packages. Okay, right. So this is nothing but setup commands, right? I was running some setup commands using the script. Yes, and then you want to run that same script using sh and then script name. Yes, right. So same execution again. Yeah, same execution. So you see that even I have run this command. That's as a which user has run it, root user, right? That's on process ID. Which process ID? That's a process ID. Remember that command ps-aef, which is an important command. Okay. Okay. So ps-aef will list all the services which have been running. Okay. Remember that command. So you can also try that ps command. Okay. Let's try that ps command. So it gives only latest commands you have run. But if I go with ps-a means all the services. Okay, right. So yeah, let's write one more script. Okay. Like run another script. vi and let's say script2.sh, writing a second script. Now here we're going to look into some commands. First, let's look to. Okay, now we start with the special characters. Okay, let's start with special characters. Okay. So while we discuss some special characters, we'll look into some commands like echo command. This look into that. Now, when we talk about special characters, okay, so we have three types of special characters in shell. Okay, what are they? So we have double quotations. These are double quotations. Okay, and double quotations. Okay. And then we have single quotations. Also, we have reverse quotations. You can find them on the what you call on the tilt button. Okay, so these are reverse quotation. So why we have these special characters and when we use these special characters? Okay, let's look into that now. So I'm going to write a statement, which is echo statement. What echo does? Echo is for printing some lines to the user. Okay, I want to print something to user. Let's say hello. Okay, let's say hello. Okay, but what is hello? Hello is actually a text message, right? It's a string message, text message. So whenever you want to print some message to the user, and you can go with in double quotation. Okay, now if you run this, let's say what is my script is script2, right? Now we like to go with so sh and then script name. But does my script has any execute permissions? So there is my script, right? It does not have any execute permissions. So if I don't have any execute permissions, Can I run that script? Can I run that still script? Yes, you can still run that script. How? Using sh. If you use it as a sh command, and then you don't need to have any execute permissions. You must have execute permissions only if you run that script using /. Okay, sh and then script. Now let's look at here. Now what is printed? So whatever is mentioned in my script, so that is printed, right? Yes. Hello is printed. Okay. Now what double quotation does? Double quotations print the message as it is to the user. Okay, fine. And then echo. And let's say single quotations. What single quotations do? Single quotations will display a message. What message is? Let's say same message, just like hello from hello something. Fine. So print it, and now see what it is going to print. sh, and then again script name. So again it is printed as it is. Yes. So everything is printed as it is, whether it's single quotation or double quotation. So it is printed as it is. The text message is printed to the user. Okay. Right. Then what's the difference between single and double quotation? Okay, we'll talk about that next. So echo, and let's say something like, so here's a message. That's a message. Fine. Now, so now let's see what is going to be the result. Okay, I'm sorry, I just gave that in reverse quotation. Okay, let's try that reverse quotations. Okay, open, close the reverse quotation, and then close it. So that's in reverse quotation. Okay, and save it and then run it. Okay, so first two lines were printed as it is. No issues with the first two lines. So what are the first two lines? Hello was printed, and then capital was printed. Right? So the hello printed, capital printed, and then look at the third line, the last line. So I have mentioned some message, but now what is that message is not a command. Here is not a command. So what does it mean? So reverse quotations are used to run a command. I want to run a command. So if you want to run a command in echo, then use that reverse quotation. Okay, and open that script. Open that script. Fine. And then, so instead of giving some message, now we run a command here. Let's say some directory 1, but we only have the directory 1, right? Let's say create directory 2. Fine. Let's say now. So if you go with that // and then script name, so you cannot do it, right? Because it has to have execute permissions. If you want to do it, you can do it. Let's x and then script 2. Then you can run that script. Now, so hello and capital, and next ls. So what is that? We have directory 2 created. Yes, directory 2 created. So make sure the commands are mentioned in reverse quotations. So you're running a command, and I want to run that command in echo statement. So make sure that is in reverse quotation. Okay. Now, so that was your script. So in that script, I have given some simple double quotations and single quotations and some making directories. Okay. Let's try that now. We go with next. Writing a third script. Okay. Now in this script, so we're going to understand the difference between single quotation versus double quotation versus reverse quotation. So when we use double quotation and when we use single quotation. Okay. Now, so in this example, what are we going to do? Okay. Let's try with variables. Okay, let's try with variables. Okay. Now let's talk about a few points regarding variables. variables. Okay, let's talk about variables. So now, what is a variable? So variable is nothing but, so let's say I'm going to define a variable and then assign a value to that variable. Okay, some value. So variable always holds a value. So variable always holds a value, right? Variable name and the value. Variable name and the value. Yeah. So what is the variable name? Variable one is a variable name, and what is the value of it? Capital is the value. Okay. So variable one and then the value. So that is what is variable. Variable always holds a value. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of a variable is? You can call this variable in any number of times in the script. Okay. For example, let's say I'm defining a variable. How to define a variable? Variable one and then the value, something like this. Okay. Now I'm going to print that variable about 2 to 3 times, number of times. Echo, and then you print that variable. Now, so what is printing variable means? I want to print that value of the variable. What is the value of the variable is? Capital. Okay. So now if I go with, let's say, variable one. Okay. So let's say in double quotations. Let's say in double quotation. So what will be printed? As it is, variable one will be printed. Okay. So let's say sh script3.sh. Now you see that as it is, variable one is printed, right? But so you call a variable. So here we are not calling a variable, we are calling a value of the variable. It's a reference, right? How do you do that? With the help of dollar and the variable one. So nothing but we are calling the value of variable one, which is capital. Now just save it. Okay. Now run that script. So what is printed? Capital is printed. So value is printed. So you want to go with, let's say, I'm printing that again, echo. So I'm just repeating that. Sorry, dollar and then variable one. Okay. So let's say somehow I'm printing multiple times. Okay. So we are using that variable value multiple times. Now just run the same script. Now that is now in my script, I just want to change the value of that variable. So if you change that here, let's say change. If you change the value of that variable, that's enough. You don't need to change that value in the entire script. If you change the variable of that value of that variable, that's enough. You don't need to go to each and every line and change it. That's not required, right? So that is the advantage of variables. Variables always holds a value of that. So whatever the value is, that holds a value. Okay. And what is the purpose? And it is reusability purpose. Right. Let's say yes. So it is changed 3 times. Okay. Right. Let's define another variable. So variable 2. That's my second variable, and give some info. Yeah. Now let's change it. Right. And let's go with $2. Okay. Now what will be printed? Capital, and the info will be printed. I think we know the output. sh script3.sh. Yes, capital is printed. Now, but what if? So just say I just give that in single quotation. Okay. So let's give that in single quotation. Let's see. Run that script. So now just look at there. So what is printed? So just a second. So first, so variable one, right? Variable 1 now with dollar now. But what is printed then? The value of the variable is printed, right? So because that's in double quotation. Whereas the second one, okay, so we are calling that variable within single quotation. Since we are calling that in single quotation, so and there we have only whatever is mentioned in single quotation that is printed. Okay, single quotations will print as it is, which is mentioned in your script. Whereas double quotations are used to print statements, and as well, what else? The other purpose is to call a variable. So whenever you want to print a variable or to call a variable, and that has to be in double quotations. Okay, double quotation and then dollar variable name. Okay, so that is the difference between single and then double quotation. The single quotations are for what is the purpose, and which is for print. So statements, print statements. Double quotations are print statements, comma, variables, right? To print statements as well as variables. But whereas single quotations only for statement purpose, not for variables purpose. Even if you mention that variable, so this will be the result. What will be the result? So whatever is mentioned in the statement, that will be printed. That is what is your single quotation purposes. Right? Now open that script again. So let's say same script. Now I just define another variable. Let's say variable 3. Okay, and let's say something like some user 7. Okay, some user 7. Now then we'll go with now let's say echo statement, and then in reverse quotation I just use a command here. What is the command is user add. Okay, so user add, and then what is that? Dollar variable 3. Now, so this is another way. So in reverse quotation, what are the reverse quotations are used for? Reverse quotations are used for to run commands. Yes, user add is a command or not? Yes, it is a shell command. Fine. Now it is a command, but which user I want to add it? I want to add this user variable 3. I want to add that user. Okay, but what is the variable 3? Is user 7, the value, right? Now, so in reverse quotation, can I use these variables? Okay, so let's see. Save it. Right. So my script is, that is a script, and run that script. Okay, is user 7 is printed, is created. You can find that. So where you find that users etc, and then in etc you have, what is that file name? So vi then pass.wd, yeah, pass.wd. Open that file. And scroll down. You have user 7 created. See that? User 7 created. Right? So now that is also possible. Okay, back to our scripts. Okay, so right. So even in reverse quotations, when you call a variable, okay, so variable value will be called just like in double quotations. So in double quotations we have that variable call. The same way here also we have variable value is called. I mean, there is a purpose of reverse quotations. Now, so but all these values for these variables, can I call them static variables? Yes, static variables. What do you mean by static? The values are fixed for these variables because we are assigned the values for the scripts within the script. Okay, we assign the values for them within the script. Clear? Now, but can you assign the values for these variables dynamically when I run the script? Is it possible? Yes, that is also possible. Right? For example, I'm running this script. Some script, okay? That is, I'm running this script. While running that script, now, so what is the user we are creating? We are creating some user 7. But now I'm going to give a choice to the user, saying that, so enter the username you want to create, and take that username and create a user. So nothing but dynamic variables. So at the time of executing that script, and user will have a choice of selecting values. Yes, and that value I'll read that value from the user input. You can see user input value. Okay, take the user input value and then print it. Okay, so that means dynamic variables. Right? So we'll start with these dynamic variables in tomorrow's session. Okay, so as of now today, so we have written some very simple script. I think about 3 scripts, very simple. But just go through this what we call static variables concept. So just today, what do you do? Just try this. Okay, understand. Okay, how to write a script. Okay, very basic scenarios for today. So understand how to write a script. Write a simple script. Create a simple script and then run it. So runs. Give some commands in that script. Okay, give some commands. Let's say define some commands, and then and write a second script with static variables. So static variables, and within the static variables, and you call the variables, define static variables, and then call. So using